freewheeling cavalcade of circular motion, thus defined by the octagon table of double-wide mental introspection, and dedicated utilitarian outward thinking in defense of zero content. Translation: we ain't got nothing. Oh, hey folks, dude here. Coming to you again, iteration of Dude After Dark. Just want to, of course, I'm basically just doing a few checkups here, so give me 1 second. I am basically confirming some work, so just give me 1 second here. Basically what it works is, unfortunately, with Uber, they don't just go, hey, you want work? You actually have to, log in and do the stuff. All right. So anyway, after now finding some required labors, which I'll do later. Yeah, I got it. It's cool. Anyway, so way, shape, or form, which we found ourselves in another iteration of Dude After Dark. This one, of course, being a special edition because the news stories have been coming fast and furious. And oh my stars and garters, I cannot do it justice. Oh, wow. And even more wow. But I'll actually have to scroll through my Facebook page because that's normally what I'll do is I'll use Facebook as my storage device, and then I will be placing the news stories out on the podcast. So if it's like revision and me rehashing stuff, you can just tune out and do whatever and good stuff like that there. So let me scroll. Like I say, it is a fat news week, and I do mean really fat news week. I've got way so many stories here that actually it's going to take me a second to get backtracked to where I was. Some of these stories are just beyond ridiculous. Scrolly. Okay. They've been teasing the whole thing about Kamala, and she's only a heartbeat away from the president, and if there's ever an issue, she could jump right into it, and it's going to be no problem at all for her to do those things that she needs to do because she's literally only a heartbeat away from the presidency. What? You did what, sound guy? You put another microphone. Folks, I don't know how he manages to do this and not get thrown into the Gray Bar Motel, but he snuck into Kamala's house and put another microphone in. Well, what was she doing, dude? Well, obviously she's in the bathroom. She's doing lady stuff. But what kind of lady stuff could she have possibly been doing in the bathroom? Oh, that kind of lady stuff. So obviously she wasn't utilized in the bathroom for normal purposes. No, she was doing it for other things. Folks, you might actually want to get the kids out of the room for this one because, well, it might be a little spicy. But sound guy, what was Kamala doing in the ladies' room? I'm coming. Coming. I'm coming. Okay, I think it's safe to say that she's had a really, really good time in the ladies' room. Oh, wow. Yipes. So it could be said that while she was enjoying some quality time by herself, and not with no, she was by herself, just I got this. I put the pause button on that one. I think she was, yeah. I think she had a good time. Anyway, so looking at things as it is, way, shape, and form, which we found ourselves. Let me go through the news stories and move out smartly. So yeah, they've been teasing now that she's one heartbeat away. She could take over from the presidency. And Kamala is now teasing. This one coming to truthpress.com that, well, potentially if things go really, really screwy, she may have to, quote, may have to take over as president. I'm going to need something to wash my sorrows away on the thought of her driving the bus. Wow. Excuse me 1 second here. I commend it to you. Remembrance those people from the day of yesterday, of which we shall never forget. That was our Pearl Harbor 9/11. Tabs and companions. Anyway, so truthpress.com, she says she may have to take over as president. Vice President Kamala Harris said on Wednesday that it's an important part of her job is the fact that she, quote unquote, may have to take over, end quote, if President Biden is unable to complete his term in office, and that she's ready to do so if required. Harris was pressed on her readiness for the Oval Office during an overseas trip, which she initially tried to deflect a question on the 80-year-old Biden's age by pointing to his legislative accomplishments, which is the standard politician way of doing anything. When asked a hard question, deflect to the programmed in responses that even might not have anything to do with the, well, blah, blah, blah. What do you think about the so-and-so? Well, dinosaurs were this, that, and the other thing back in the bygone time of, they completely come up with a just tangential, not even answering the question means of, well, filling time. So that's literally what she did. Quote, questions about the president's age often go hand in hand with questions about how would you step in if the role was necessary. Do you feel prepared for that possibility? Has serving as vice president prepared you for the job? Associated Press reporter Chris Magarian asked Harris. Yes, replied the 58-year-old vice president in Jakarta, Indonesia, where she was representing Biden in the annual Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summit. Quote, and how would you describe that process? End quote, the reporter asked. Well, first of all, I'm answering your hypothetical, but Joe Biden's going to be fine. So it's not going to come to fruition, Harris said. She doesn't normally speak like that. That is a plugged in answer that she's been coached on into perpetuity. Quote, but let's also understand that every vice president understands that when they take the oath that they must be very clear for that responsibility, that they may have to take over the job of being president. I am no different. Yeah, kind of like Gerald Ford when he took over for Nixon after Nixon got, charged and unceremoniously was getting ready to be foisted upon the impeachment process. He said, you know what? I'm going to just do the honorable thing. Thor's hammer. I'm out of here. Yeah. Understand they take the oath that they're very clear about the responsibility that they take over the job of being president. I'm no different. Okay. First and foremost, you silly, stupid, whining, mewling. I really want to say the phrase they use in the Marvel universe, but you screaming, mewling, whining that. Before you actually step into the role of the president, you're sworn in. They put your hand on the Bible. Do you swear to, firm and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic, in the office of president, blah, 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 under, blah, 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 your name, so-and-so and so forth, this, that, and the other thing. Yes or no? Yes. So you get sworn in as being president, okay? There's pictures of LBJ being sworn in, like literally not very long after, not even room temperature Kennedy was laid out in Texas. So, dude, did you see Sniffy get played off in Vietnam? Well, kind of, yeah. It's news story I'm going on with right now is they're asking her if she could step into the role of being vice president as being president. Okay, if you look at the line of succession, did I see Sniffy get played off? Yes, I did see Sniffy getting played off in Vietnam. And it was like, well, this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, almost like he's basically kind of going screech. And you hear the dun, 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 kind of like cue the brain dead guy to get off the stage. Yeah, they literally were like shutting him down, and some aide was going, well, thank you so much for your questions, this, that, and the other thing. And then he started playing this kind of schlocky music in the background, and he was still trying to answer questions, but he was like, I'm done. Yeah, you're done. You have run out of gas. We are taking you off stage. So yes, Martina Sasquatch, I did see him get played off in Vietnam, and I think I actually have a news story about that later on. But going into the stuff, supposedly this is now getting very, very interesting because also now it's come out that all this stuff that they've been throwing at Trump has been a distraction. Why? Well, mostly because coming in from truthpress.com, Hunter Biden to be indicted by the end of the month, special counsel says. Special counsel David Weiss in a new court filing this week that President Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, will be indicted this month. Quote, the Speedy Trial Act requires the government obtain the return of the indictment by grand jury by Friday, September 29, 2023, at the earliest, Weiss said in the filing. The government intends to seek the return of the indictment on this case before that date. While the exact charges were not revealed in court filing, CNN reported they were gun-related charges. Okay, if you or I did what he did on the 4473 to obtain some object that might be like, one of these, yeah. So if he did something like that to obtain one of those, potentially he could find himself in a world of hurt because you're putting lines that are not truthful or correct onto the form of the government for delivery of a firearm, any firearm, known as the 4473 form. And one of the questions they ask on you is, are you a habitual alcoholic or drug user? And if you say no, and you're committing perjury by saying no, and you are, well, there's a slight problem there. Also, there's the whole straw purchase thing. Also, there's the buying the firearm when you really shouldn't be buying the firearm because you have potential charges on you. So all those things might be coming out to play on, little Biden. So yeah, those gun charges, you don't just walk off. Anybody else would get charged with that stuff and you would get hammered. But, big butt in the room. He was given such an easy, hey, just be good, don't do any drugs, and, we'll walk this off for you. Dude couldn't get himself clean to not piss dirty and fail any kind of drug screen. They were like, you know what? Deal's off the table, dude. We are tired of playing with you. Prepare to get, how do you say it without saying it? But prepare to get more than a little bit of. Okay, I'll allow the ding. That timing was actually not bad, sound guy. I'll allow that. Because when it comes time for you to go into the pokey, you're going to get. Yeah, you're probably going to go to the pokey in more ways than one, and you will get the, okay, I don't think it's wee chomp. No. There's no ding on that one, sound guy. Nope. Patriot Fever, you missed the latest version of, sound guy sneaking into a place he never should have snuck into and sticking a microphone down where, Kamala was enjoying some lady time. And I don't mean like lady time in the bathroom, a normal aspect. I mean, she was enjoying some lady time in the bathroom. Sarcasm bayonets fixed. Oh, man. So anyway, you'll have to listen to the beginning of the video to catch that Kamala thing. And sorry, it is not being replayed. No, it is not snoo, okay? Okay, all right. Patriot Fever, for you, I will replay the latest Kamala version, and it might be a bit spicy. No, it's a little spicy. Kamala doing her deeds. Kamala doing her deeds. So let's see. Scrolly. Let me find where sound guy hit it. Where did he put? Oh, he put it there. All right. Kamala playing with stuff.
I'm coming. Coming. I'm coming.
Okay, I think she was enjoying herself, maybe just a little bit. Wow. I guess she truly enjoys quality time with herself. Yipes. On that note, let's move on to another news story. Scroll. It has now come out. Well, it's kind of been out there, but it's now come out. Just give me one sec. TruthPress.com. Tucker Carlson releases an interview with a man who claims he smoked crack and had sex with Obama. Ever since Barack Obama biographer David Garrow revealed that the former president told an ex-girlfriend that he, quote, repeatedly fantasizes about making love to men, end quote, the internet has been abuzz over Obama's sexual orientation and whether Michelle Obama is actually a dude. Some of us here don't really worry about that. We kind of been, bandying those opinions for a while. In his latest interview on X, Twitter, Tucker Carlson sat down with Larry Sinclair, the man who for 25 years has maintained that he and former President Barack Obama engaged in drug-fueled sex acts, once in the back of a limo and another in a hotel room in Gurnee, Illinois. Of note, Sinclair has a long rap sheet, including convictions on forgery, fraud, and larceny. He served prison time in Arizona, Colorado, and Florida, a history which was widely used to discredit Sinclair's claims, which he first made in 2008 when Obama was running for president. Okay, all those charges have nothing to do with him getting or handing out some to another dude. It says basically that he really truly just makes a living not doing the most honest of means. So anyway, quote, you're the guy who's in town for a night and sounds like you're looking to party, Tucker asked the alleged encounter, in which he says a limo driver introduced him to Obama after asking for someone to help him party with. Yeah. There's this guy who introduced to me as Barack Obama, Sinclair replied. I started giving Barack $250 to pay for coke, Sinclair continued. I started putting a line on a CD tray to snort. Next thing you know, he's got a little pipe and he's smoking. To which Carlson even asked, even though you had sex with him twice, you did cocaine with him, watched him smoke crack twice, you had no idea who he was. Quote, I had no idea who he was, Sinclair replied, adding, quote, it definitely wasn't Barack's first time, and I would almost be the one to bet it wasn't his last. Last week, Carlson foreshadowed the upcoming interview, telling Adam Carolla that the media was too afraid to report Sinclair's claims in 2008. According to Tucker, nobody dared repeat the accusation due to threats from the Obama campaign. Quote, nobody reported because they were squeamish about sex or drugs because there was an Obama campaign. Said anyone who reports on this gets no access to the Obama campaign, he said. So they didn't report on this. Quote, it's not going to change the world that Barack Obama likes dudes. I think it's well known, Carlson added. Adding that Obama himself acknowledged having gay impulses in a letter to a former girlfriend. I think he had more than impulses. I think maybe it was more than a little bit of, well, if you're going to go right and hardcore, it's probably going to be more than a little bit of,
But I pooped from there.
So no wonder Barack was so nice to the Yeah, no telling why he was so nice to the XYZ PDQ Sound guys, Harris is gentler on his stomach than Sinclair's story. Oh man, I think that's probably true for one of those guys too, because they probably were Well, maybe doing a little bit of gargling. I think they may have been. Yeah, I think there may have been some of that going on more than a little bit of well, XYZPD XYZPDQ OU812s.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I think they may have been kind of having a little bit too much fun with each other.
Whoa, commentary.
No, they were not.
SYZPDQOU812.
Yeah, because there was no. Oh no, it was.
SYZPDQOU812.
Okay, sound guy. I think they got it. Dude wasn't having a guy on guy encounter. Wow. I need a palate cleanser after that one. This one it's been bandied about more than a little bit, and I find it very interesting that they're running the value down on this corporation to possibly get it absorbed by an even larger corporation. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if it's really a larger corporation. I think it's just more liquid at this moment, but it's getting very interesting to say that possibly the mouse may get eaten by the apple. This one coming in at truthrest.com. Disney CEO's secret plot to sell the company to tech giant exposed by insiders. Now, I've broached this one before. Okay, this is not that secret anymore. CNBC spoke to more than 24 people who work closely with the current CEO in Disney, Bob Iger, and the former Disney CEO, Bob Chapek, between 2020 and 2022, and paints a fascinating picture of the inner machinations of the Votorul studio. Basically, what it says is they're now speculating that potentially Disney might get bought up by Apple. Why? Because Apple's got money. Apple is liquid right now. Disney right now is really not doing so good financially. They've lost over $800 million with a bunch of films that really kind of sucked. Why? Well, mostly because they were, how do you say this without saying this? It was...
Whoa, commentary.
Because they're so...
SYZPDQOU812.
Are you done? Oh, no, don't play that. That's a copyright hit. We're not going to play the whole X-Files theme at all. We will not. That is just not going to happen. Mostly because we potentially could get zapped with the old copyright thing. So I ain't doing it. So give me 1 second here. I got to do something real fast. Okay, that's good. But no, we're not doing the X-Files theme. That will blow back on me in a big hurry. But it's coming out to be kind of interesting. They're saying now that potentially Disney might get absorbed, bought, partially invested in. I don't know, man. It's kind of interesting. Very interesting. And it just simply comes down to the fact that they are demonetizing, demoneying, ruining the value. They're really screwing up Disney. If they stopped all this woke crap and they became more attentive to potentially just the basic audience makeup of people that want to see Disney movies and not the XYZ PDQ OU812 groups. Wow, Patriot Fever. The fact we have no reports of Walt haunting Disney at this point says more about him washing his hands of them than no evidence of an afterlife. Yeah, I think he's done spooling in his grave at 4,000 or 5,000 RPM, and he's like, you know what? Done with it. Pontius Pilate, Pontius Pilate. Time to just go enjoy the afterlife and see all and do all those various and enjoy all those various and cohabitate and hang out with and do all those good things with all those, former persons that really I wanted to meet back when I had a time on the planet or before their time on the planet. And I'm gonna do that right now. So he's probably just like looking down, going, you, just you.
Look at this nasty ass bitch.
Yeah, I'm sure he's just pretty much just. Yeah, he's washed his hands clean of it. Okay, so pretty much he's pretty much done with it, and he's ready to move out and do those things he needs to do because, well, in the afterlife, pretty much, if you think about it, time is definitely on your side, so you're good to go, and you don't have to worry about.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
I say we take off and nuke the entire
Bitch!
from orbit.
Okay. Apparently, we have the opinion in from the guys in Alien. Okay. Now I got to scroll. Let me find this one, sound guy. I got this one. Now speaking about, of all things, the
Chinese Communist COVID virus infection. Claw shots.
yeah, we're gonna be speaking yet again about the
Shots.
yep, because it's around, and I don't have to worry now about
Fact check.
nope, I don't have to worry about that at all because now we can speak openly about the
Claw shots.
and anything to do with the.
Chinese Communist COVID virus infection.
Oh, you pulled that one out of the ethers. I thought you were going to try something. No, sound guy. We were going to try something easy and nothing. Sound guy. Stop. Okay, you cannot squish a virus with a sledgehammer. Okay. His idea of immunological defenses is just sound guy. No. It doesn't work like that. Okay, stop. So anyway, looking at the dread case of the
Claw shots.
coming in from truthpress.com. Cancer cases grow by 79% in young people. Quote, and this is just quoting the article, steady increase in cancer cases among young people can be chalked up to red meat, salt, and alcohol, new research suggests. That is utter freaking balderdash. If you think about the way the guys lived back in the 40s, 50s, 30s, all the rest of that stuff, those guys did nothing but eat red meat, salt, and alcohol. In fact, I think they probably lived on red meat, salt, and alcohol. Anyway, new research suggests. A study published Tuesday by the BMJ Oncology and analyzed data from 1990 to 2019, finding a 79% surge in new cancer cases in people under age 50 in the course of 3 decades. You know what? It might be potentially because they're not eating enough red meat, salt, and alcohol. Using the data from the Global Burden of Disease, 2019 study, which looked at the prevalence of 29 cancers in 204 countries and regions, the researchers investigated the number of new cases, deaths, and subsequent health repercussions and risk factors for people aged 14 to 49. Okay, did they even look at those people who are ingesting way too much Roundup? Or potentially GMO foods? Thank you, Monsanto. Yeah. Martinez Sasquatch. My money's on weird chemicals and nuclear fallout. In fairness to sound guys, some T-virus dudes did swing hammers. Well, I'm sure they did, but they were probably swinging something else. Oh, no. Patriot fever. Bambi on the dinner table. Oof. So 2019 alone, early onset cancer cases, the age group totaled 3.26 million, an increase of 79.1% since 1990. According to the December researchers of Oh, China. The Zhejiang University School of Medicine and University of Edinburgh's Usher Institute. Okay, I don't really trust much going on with the Chinese right now because their place is beyond blanking polluted. I do mean it is just screwed. There is so many places that are just completely fucked up beyond measure and just beyond polluted that you really just don't know. Yeah, you don't want to drink from there, okay? You do not want to drink anything at any of the local water sources in China. No, and if you do, you're gonna get a ride to the hospital because
Oh my.
you've been eating or drinking something that is just completely it's not good. Most especially, you have all kinds of really disgusting stuff. If you want to look up something really, really nasty, look up something called gutter oil. Literally, what they do is they harvest this stuff out of the sewers, recook it, and resell it as oil that you can cook with.
You dick.
I know, man. It sounds absolutely, positively disgusting that these people could possibly, yeah, try to sell this stuff. Yeah, so if you ingest this stuff, potentially okay, so let's get back to the story, shall we now? The study authors saw an uptick in cancer-related deaths by 27.7% since 1990. Cancers of the breast, trachea, lung, bowel, and stomach had some of the higher mortality rates. Cases of windpipe and prostate cancer are some of the largest increase since 1990, and breast cancer had the highest incidence since breast cancer had the highest incident rate of early onset cases, and researchers found, while cases of early onset liver cancer saw a decline. Wait a minute, I thought drinking tons of alcohol caused caused liver cancer. Excuse me. Patriot Fever. Reporter, would you trust the Chinese or that ticked off rattlesnake with rabies over there? Oh, and COVID also. Patriot, I'm going to go play with the snake. he really does come up with some pearls of wisdom in the chat room, folks. Trust me on that one. North America is listed one of the regions with the highest incidence of early onset cancers in 2019, along with Australasia and Western Europe. What a mess of a word is that? Australasia. Meanwhile, places in Eastern Europe, Oceania, and Central Asia had the highest mortality rates. Okay. Eastern Europe, Oceania, and Central Asia had the highest mortality rates. And they're saying how much healthier it is to eat an Asian diet, not if you're importing stuff that's loaded up with Roundup, and GMO food, and all the rest of that happy horse crap. Yuck. Quote, the rising incidence of early onset cancers may partially attribute to the increasing uptake of screening and early detection in developed regions and countries, the study authors wrote. Oh, so you now find more people have it by looking at more people. So that's what changed the rates. It's not the fact that anything potentially, in the basic biosphere or something that they're coming in contact with. Nah, it's just the fact you're testing them more. It's not like they really could be possibly exposed to anything that could be causing this. Oh, no, it's just because you're testing more. Martina Sasquatch in the room. Dude, you are spot on. My generation drinks about a third of the rate at the last few did. True, and very true. Because if you think about back in the good old days, sometimes they thought it was, safer to drink the booze than to drink the actual water supply. Typhoid, cholera, all manner of disgusting, nasty, icky stuff was found in the water sources, And when you cooked it off and made it into alcohol, you killed off all the bougies. So that's why you also had situations where, you've often looked on the shelves and seen soft drinks. Well, potentially people are wondering, why are they called soft drinks? They're not soft. Well, they're not hard either, because literally the way they used to make that stuff was they would make it up basically like beer. It would be brewed up, and the resulting process would form the carbonation. And it would be, excuse me, orange is jumping on me, and it would be a soft beverage. As it sat on the shelf and it became more alcoholic, it became a hard beverage. So, in the process of doing that, it would actually build up more carbonation, and you knew you had a certain period of time in which to consume this, or the bottles would blow up on the shelves. So, that's old style carbonation, old style soft and hard beverages. But as you let it sit on the shelf, it would get progressively more alcoholic until either you drank it or the bottles blew up. Scroll. The increase in detections may also have a silver lining. Author Dr. Zhu, whatever, XUE, I think it's G Lee. G Lee pointed to quote unquote outstanding screening efforts the UK had been resulting in a decline of the country's deaths related to early onset cancer. Quote, fortunately, the annual mortality rate from early onset cancer in the UK has been steadily declining. Testament to the outstanding cancer screening and treatment efforts of the past 3 decades, said Lee, Center for Global Health at the University of Edinburgh's Usher Institute, per the Independent. Okay, here's the dirty little secret, is if you make somebody sick and you treat them, potentially you make a lot of money. If you make something in such a way that they don't get sick in the first place, preventative medicine is not that profitable. Just give me 1 second here. Patriot Fever, exactly. Hence root beer. Scroll. This I find to be completely hilarious. PatriotAlerts.com. Shocking number of Americans believe Biden took part in Hunter's overseas business. Even liberals believe Hunter Biden took part in Hunter's overseas businesses. Yeah. Poll by liberal news network CNN found that 61% of Americans believe President Biden partook in Hunter's lobbying on behalf of the foreign companies like Burisma and Bohai Capital, a venture capital company controlled the state-owned banks in China. President fiercely denied people part of the shakedown. Just 38% of the 1,500 people polled believed that Biden had no involvement. Enough on that one, folks. But, even the Democrats are like, yeah, he did it. He did it. Yeah. I'm not going to actually click on this one per se. I'll just give you the brief synopsis. But Bill Maher brands Trump as a quote unquote criminal, but fails to explain his quote unquote crimes. So, what I said in the link was Trump is bad. Why? Because he's a criminal. Okay, what laws did he break? Because he's a criminal. That's literally all they got. They literally have all they got. Corinne Jean-Pierre, I cannot begin to tell you how funny it looks as she's trying to scrape together responses when the reporters are just ravaging her with unbelievably good pearls of truth, and she's going, well, this, that, and the other thing. Let me come up with other, tangential crap I got to throw at you. Let me scroll through these pages of information that give me laugh lines of which to throw at you, because we all know I can't really put a face to this, of which you're trying to really accuse them of. I'm trying to protect. I give her credit. She does a heck of a good job, but in the process, she just looks completely not worthy. This is going to be a duality of stories in which I'm going to jump to one side of the aisle to the other in terms of yes, no, or you better freaking do this. Yeah. The truthpress.com. McCarthy's time as speaker may be coming to an end. Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy is facing stiff opposition to the latest spending bill and may have to risk his speakership by compromising with Democrats to get it passed, according to reports. The California Republican took a rocky road to confirmation of Speaker, where he suffered 14 failed votes for finally winning a majority of the caucus to take the Speaker's gavel in January. Yeah. Stand by on that one. It's getting very, very interesting. He knows he has got that seat literally by the sword of Damocles dangling over his head by a thread. It is very, very interesting how he could be booted from that position. Oh, well, you know what? I got to give Rachel Maddow one piece of credit. You see and you hear these stories like so many of these bobbleheads on the news networks are absolutely horrendous to work for. I mean, absolute raging a-holes. But the thing about it is, everything I heard, and even, like Sean Hannity's spoken about it, and other people, Will Cow, it's like, when Maddow is off the microphone, she's actually nice to the people that she works with. And she's like, hey, I make more money than you. I'll buy the first round of booze. She's actually not an a-hole off camera. She might be a raging lib, but she's actually not a piece of crap to deal with. Pedro Weber thread might be generous. Spiderweb is more like, oh no. Spiderweb is stronger than steel. No. You can't do that one. It's got to be thread, and it's gonna be frayed thread. So it's just barely doing it. Just barely doing it. All right, so scroll. Liberty Safe. If you own a Liberty Safe and you keep buying Liberty Safes, you are a fool, because Liberty Safe now confirms they gave federal access to the code on a gun safe during the raid on January 6th protester. So much for stating the safe was safe. They gave the feds a master code to get into their safes. Excuse me 1 second here. So if you have a Liberty Safe, potentially you might want to set that thing off to, I think probably about 20 to 50 pounds of tannerite, and send that thing off to being in orbit, or cut it off, sell it as scrap, or have a locksmith come over and switch up the combination on that thing in way, shape, and form that nobody can pick it. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the boop, boop, beep, boop, 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 lock. I'm not a fan of those. Normally, I like to have keys for a very, very simple, good reason. Is opening something with a lock on it that you have to pick or you got to work on is way harder than some federal guy walking up and going beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, 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 boop. And the thing goes, oh, I like you now. Ka-chick. It opens up. Not a fan. RepublicanDaily.com, Dems are now worried Trump might be winning the public relations battle after the indictments. This one gets very fun. A growing number of Democrats are worried that President Joe Biden is not doing enough to push back at former President Donald Trump. Can he push back? As the latter continues to win plaudits and draw on more support following the release of his mugshot in Fulton County, Georgia last month. As noted in NBC News, which is kind of a conflicted terms, but as noted in NBC News, the day after Trump was arrested and booked on a charge of attempting to interfere in the outcome of the Georgia 2020 election, the Biden campaign released a video in several battleground states, but it was about abortion. Abortion, gun control, racism, inner city Republicans hate you. It's really all they got. I mean, that's all they have. Quote, the president seemed to disconnect from the major consequential day in the politics as purposeful as predictable, follows the long-held practice of Biden, one he adhered to in the 3 previous indictments of the GOP frontrunner. Stay quiet while Trump tries to convince Americans that Biden abused the power of presidency to sideline his likely 2024 election component, the network reported. However, it's not solely a restrained approach to Trump's legal issues, which Biden's advisors assert aimed at showcasing the independence of his Justice Department from the White House. Oh, man, if you believe that one, I'll say the Brooklyn Bridge for $20. Truthpress.com, we're now talking yet again about the clot shot. mRNA COVID vaccines damage children's immune system's response to other viruses, a study finds. New research published in the journal Frontiers in Immunology show that children who got, quote-unquote, vaccinated for the Wuhan coronavirus, COVID-19, now suffer from a form of AIDS that has left their weakened immune systems prone to catching not just COVID, but all other sorts of viruses and bacteria. Within weeks of getting the second shot of the Pfizer-BioNTech mRNA shot, children begin to develop progressively weakened immunity to the point that they eventually succumb to whatever diseases that happen to encounter while simply living with their normal lives. Yuck. In such scenarios, unvaccinated children with strong and healthy immune systems would be just fine. However, those got jabbed and have broken immunity would be like walking disease carriers. Our study shows that children with SARS-CoV-2 mRNA vaccination decrease inflammatory cytokine responses, the authors wrote. Fortunately for kids, the immune response to bacteria does eventually return to normal. Just give me 1 second here. How to shut up a cat. For viruses, though, the researchers observed the broken immunity lasts for at least 6 months, this being a total duration of the study period. Had the study gone beyond just 6 months, chances are the researchers would have discovered that children's weakened immunity to viruses lasts much longer, perhaps permanently. Cytokines, by the way, are critical to proper immune function. Interferon, which is just one example of the immune system cytokine, helps the body to attack and neutralize viruses and other foreign invaders. A widely cited paper published in the journal Cold Spring Harbor Perspectives in Biology states right in the first line of the abstract that, quote, interferons, IFNs, are a broad class of cytokines elicited on challenge to host defense and are essential for mobilizing immune responses for pathogens, end quote. Concerns of frontiers in immunological study is admittedly small, including just 29 children aged 6 to 11 to the first post-jab checkpoint and just 8 children at the 6-month sample period. Quote, further, the study size is tiny number of the participants, meaning the researchers cannot correlate real-world clinical outcomes, such as increased severity of infections, with the diminished immune responses. Okay, what this says to me is small group of kids, they're all showing it. Oh my stars and garters, this is bad juju. Bad juju. Patriot Fever, you're much too kind. Somebody needs to reprogram the lock and spite them and paint over the logo with an 80s podcast channel brand. That's too funny, but you're much too kind. Yes, Martinez Sasquatch, yes. Interferon is used for Hep C. Remember that being used for that. Yeah, but the thing is, interferon is very expensive. It's hard to acquire, and also it brings into the fold some seriously nasty side effects. Some people respond very well. Other people really kind of crash and burn. But it can be a huge fix for some people that are really, really jacked up. But if you think about it, the way that they exploited it years ago, you really haven't heard much about it. You know, it's kind of like that whole Laetrile thing. Oh, no, it's bad. We got to ban this because, it might this, that, and the other thing, this, that, da, 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 da. Did anybody actually respond to it? Well, it's been seen clinically as not doing very much. Did it do something? Yeah, like the whole Laetrile. I remember that back when I was a kid, the whole Laetrile thing. It's like peach pit extract that they used on cancer patients. Martinez Sasquatch. Martinez Sasquatch, I would tend to think he probably got exposed to Agent Orange and other kinds of nasty stuff that they really don't talk about much nowadays because, oh yeah, that might be financially responsible. Yeah. Quote, like other studies on the subject, the authors are very, very careful to tiptoe around their findings, pretending as though they didn't have any real implications concerning the safety or effectiveness of the falsy flu shots. In other words, they don't want to open up liability for the federal government to get jacked up. Let's see. Scrolly. Hang on a second here. This one is very, very interesting. Potentially a law professor. Excuse me. A law professor sounds the alarm and he attempts to disqualify Donald John Trump as president. George Washington University law professor Jonathan Tooley stated that the new theory is, quote, not simply dubious, but dangerous, end quote. Quote, the amendment was written to deal with those who engage in actual rebellion causing thousands or hundreds of thousands of deaths, end quote, Mr. Tooley told Fox News. Quote, advocates would extend the reference to, quote, insurrection or rebellion, end quote, to include unsupported claims and challenges, including election fraud, end quote. The professor has served as an expert in impeachment witness in favor of the Republicans, defended President Trump, said he did not favor the former president's speech on January 6th. However, he said that the January 6th incident was merely, quote, a protest that became a riot, end quote, and was not an insurrection against the United States. Yeah. Scrolly. This one I find particularly juicy. This one is good stuff. Delaware judge orders the DOJ and Hunter's lawyer to hand over a gun indictment. So the diversion agreement and DOJ stonewalling. Hunter Biden's defense claims a, quote, diversion agreement, end quote, shields him from the gun charge persecution, while the DOJ is stonewalling a Freedom of Information Act request, which they cannot do. The questionable Nix self-admission form, which is what I was talking about earlier, despite claims that signing a government form shouldn't relinquish one's Second Amendment rights, questions arise about the executive branch's authority to create new rules, particularly with the FBI disavowing the NICS, or the Nix check, indices self-submission form. Translation, they're basically trying to say, well, it's only to him is he not guilty if he claims he didn't do these things when he was doing it. Secret Service involvement in the FOIA, or the Freedom of Information Act. Reports suggesting the Secret Service was on scene when authorities investigated Haley Biden discarding Hunter's gun. The agency denies involvement. ATF refuses to answer FOIA requests related to the gun charge, citing quote-unquote privacy interests. Okay, if it's a gun charge, there is no privacy interest. That is not your purview. You're a federal agency. Your job is to enforce gun laws under the charter of which you are enabled to do these things. Just give me 1 second here. Quote, Hunter Biden was ordered to supply a court update by September 6th on a felony gun charges against him, Washington Examiner reports. Quote, defensive attorneys have claimed a diversion agreement, quote, shielding the president, Joe Biden's son, from prosecution by the gun charge is still in place. With the Department of Justice stonewalling the Freedom of Information Act request necessitating the filing of a complaint to try and obtain compliance, it didn't look for an update to answer where the U.S. attorneys get their authority from to require Biden to, quote, consent to a permanent entry to the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, such as he would be denied via NICS if he attempts to legally purchase another firearm. Translation, if he basically is doing drugs, he shouldn't be allowed to get a firearm. That's one of the questions. A person does not lose his Second Amendment rights to keep and bear arms simply because, okay, it gets squishy here, folks. Quote, a person does not lose his Second Amendment rights to keep and bear arms simply because he signed a government form purporting to relinquish them. Eric Pratt, Senior Vice President of Gun Owners of America, informed Attorney Eric General. Sorry, I can't read today. Eric Pratt, Senior Vice President, Gun Owners of America, informed Attorney General Merrick Garland and FBI Director Christopher Wray in a September 22 letter addressing the NICS indices self-submission form, which the FBI since disavowed using. If you disavowed using it, why are you still asking every single person in the United States that's making a gun purchase to sign the form? From time and eternal, when you guys put the 4473 into effect, people have been signing that form saying, yep, I don't do this. No, I don't do that. Yes, I'm this, that, and the other thing. No, I'm not one of those. And if I did do these things, I'm very, very sorry, but I don't do that. If you sign yes or no in any appropriate boxes, you don't get the gun. And the guy that's trying to sell you the gun goes, yeah, I can sell you a gun, but this is all you're getting. The empty holster. There is nothing inside that goes bang booey. That's all you're getting out of me is, accessories, because I cannot sell you a firearm. You are dirtbag. Whether it's true or not, the same principle would apply unless a citizen falls in one of the prohibited persons categories established in congressionally enacted law. No one in the executive branch has the delegated authority to create new conditions or classifications. That is not the job of the executive to write legislation. Their job is to enforce the legislation that is written and codified by the Congress and the Senate, which then goes to the president, and he says yes or no. If he vetoes it, if they have enough votes in the House, they override him, and it becomes law anyway. Yeah, Pedro Fever, I completely believe that is true in the fact of your area of reference. He says there's no Second Amendment in New Mexico or Pritzkistan. Britscanistan. Yeah, I feel for you. You live in the wrong state. My state's not that great either, but you're living the wrong state. New Mexico, I think she's gonna be job hunting. They're gonna toss her. She's not gonna keep her position. That state is entirely too gun friendly. Even the enforcers are like, yeah, we're not arresting anybody. And the other thing too is this is the dirty little secret, jumping subjects majorly here. In New Mexico, the liability and the full indemnity that's on officers gone. So if a cop enforces basically something that is non-constitutional, you drag his ass into court, you see the snot out of him, and he loses everything. So if they do enforce this law and it's unconstitutional, or the dictates of the New Mexico governor, they potentially lose everything. So there's a lot of cops now going, I'm not enforcing this law. You can basically pound sand. I'm not doing it. So anyway, basically it comes out to be that, they're trying now to play all the legalese and, Hunter Biden doesn't need to have to worry about these things because, it's completely on the up and up because the executive guy said it's completely cool for him to not have to do these things. Supposedly Trump is now trying to get his case moved to a federal court. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but from AmericanJournalDaily.com, quote, President Trump hereby notifies the court that he may seek removal of his prosecution to a federal court under 28 USC, weird acronym, 1422 and 1455. Attorney Stephen Sadow wrote in a notice to McAfee. McAfee is the Georgia Supreme Court Judge Scott McAfee. And he's potentially planning to move his election interference case out of the state and into federal court. If the move is granted, Trump will be able to invoke immunity protections for all federal officials, according to CNN. This one, I cannot begin to tell you just how messed up this one is, but Nancy Drunkelosi is trying to go for election yet again in 2024. AmericanJournalDaily.com. Nancy Pelosi has since lost the gavel. Plenty of Americans certainly glad of that. Pelosi's receded from the limelight, especially after her husband became the center of a bizarre home invasion. Pelosi opted not to run for the party leadership in the 2022 election, citing that the new generation of leaders needed to take over. Guess that means an 83-year-old woman we needed to step down from Congress in her term. Right? Wrong. Seen several aging lawmakers struggle to cope with the demands of their jobs due to advanced age and illness. We expect Drunkelosi to finally retire and enjoy the fruits of her quote-unquote labors. But no, wait, she's running again from Fox News. Former House Speaker Nancy Drunkelosi, Democrat California, will seek a 20th term in the U.S. House of Representatives, announcing Friday she's running for re-election in 2024. Drunkelosi, 83, declared her candidacy in California's 11th congressional district, representing San Francisco, in a post on Twitter. Now, quote, now more than ever, our city needs to advance San Francisco values. Would that involve people puking and pooping and pissing and making the city look like a giant open sewer? That's why I'm running for re-election, and I respectfully ask for your vote. Just give me 1 second here. Drunkelosi announced she'll be running for re-election in 2024. In her announcement, she claimed she wanted to, quote, advance San Francisco values. What values would those be? San Francisco suffered tremendously in recent years, apparently thanks to Democrat policies. The city is overrun with homelessness, crime, and poverty. Hardworking Americans cannot afford homes due to the city's heavy restrictions on development. And there's even a website that tracks the amount of human feces that floods the streets. And that's not getting into the homeless encampments that outnumber pedestrians and shops in downtown. Do you want those kind of values spread across the country? Drunkelosi wants to run again, despite heavy criticism and apparent lack of achievements. Her last time as speaker, she was marred by 2 failed impeachments against Donald Trump, a stimulus bill that triggered runaway inflation, and a lack of accountability against Biden, even as he fumbled the Afghan withdrawal and left the southern border open. Well, what's particularly shocking to many critics about this announcement is it seems it contradicts what Drunkelosi said previously. The Democrat refused to seek the role of House Minority Leader, leaving it to Hakeem Jeffries because she said the next generation needs to take over. Despite this, Drunkelosi refuses to let someone else take over the seat. To many, this sounds like a contradiction, or worse, hypocrisy. Given the recent drama surrounding Congress members who are over the age of 80, Drunkelosi is making this announcement at the very wrong time. 83-year-old Nancy Drunkelosi. Enough. Her blood type is probably vodka at this point. This is particularly hilarious. Talking yet again about, well, you know, yeah, Kamala. What are you talking? Sound guy, no, stop. Sound guy. Kamala. Okay, we're talking about Kamala, right? And there's what are you doing? No, sound guy. No, stop that. Stop. Anyway, you're just being naughty, okay? You're not the Roadrunner. Stop that. I cannot even begin to tell you what he's doing in the sound booth, folks. I can't. Polite society just doesn't go those ways. But anyway, speaking yet again about Kamala. Oh.
I'm coming. I'm coming.
Anyway, Thursday's appearance on Fox News when coming in from Patriot Alerts, Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee did not mince words when discussing Vice President Kamala Harris's potential presidential ambitions. Blackburn's pointed critique highlighted that what many see as Harris's lack of action concerning the ongoing crisis at the southern border. Blackburn posed a series of questions that have been on the minds of many Americans. If Harris wanted to say that she wanted to step up, why hasn't she stepped up as the borders are? Why didn't she address this humanitarian crisis at the southern border? Why hasn't she addressed the national security crisis? But Blackburn didn't stop there. She went on to highlight the dangerous role of cartels in exacerbating the border crisis, describing them as international global business organizations. Blackburn drew attention to the myriad illicit activities they engage in, from drug trafficking to human and sex trafficking. If somebody wanted to show leadership, start there, Blackburn said. Wow. I mean, you're kind of just pointing out the fact that she's going along to get along and not really doing much, okay? Here's a feel-good story. And those people who truly believe in karma, let's just say that, well, sound guy, it's not caca, okay? We're talking karma. Karma, okay?
You sick little monkey.
Okay, well, anyway, basically a leftist. This one's coming in from patriotalerts.com. My word. This is one that pretty much is just one for the annuals. I'm going to try to even say this chick's name, but it's like Shivanthi Sathanandan. Wow. Radical leftist and prominent defund the police advocate and former vice chairwoman of the Democrat former Labor Party in Minneapolis suffered the consequences of decreased police presence during a heinous attack on Wednesday night. Well, let's just say she's how do you say this? But say this. Pretty much she's a leftist, okay? She's a defund the police movement person, and she got carjacked and beaten.
Fatality.
Okay, she's not dead, sound guy, but she got her ass positively kicked. reportedly suffered a broken leg, severe head lacerations, and numerous cuts and bruises on her body after allegedly being assaulted by 4 armed juveniles in front of her children. The assailants then stole her vehicle in broad daylight, as reported by KSTP. Quote, yesterday, my children and I were violently carjacked in the driveway of our home in Minneapolis. 4 very young men, all carrying guns, beat me violently down on the ground in front of the kids. The young men held our neighbors up at gunpoint when they ran over to try to help me, all in broad daylight, Sathanadan said in a post on Facebook Wednesday. Look at my face in the pictures. This is the face of a mother who just had her SHIT beaten out of her. A mother whose only thought was, let me run far enough so that my kids have a chance to get away. You're an idiot. Look at my face. Remember when you're thinking about supporting letting juveniles and young people in our custody roam our streets instead of holding them accountable for their actions? You could be reading the obituary for me and my children today, Sathanadan added. But instead, I'm here to write this, she continued. Look at my face. These criminals will not win. They will not take back our city. And this will not be the last you hear from me. Thank you to the incredible Minneapolis 4th Precinct officers, Mayor Frey, Chief O'Hara, paramedics, neighbors, friends, and DFL family who all came out to my aid during this terrifying experience. I'm so grateful for the community that wraps us in love. She is beyond idiotic. And there's no other way I could say it other than she is beyond idiotic. She does not understand which end of the tube the round comes out. Some guy better not get her and AOC in the same poll. Man. Non-squatch Hardee's and raisin. Yeah. She got the snot beat out of her. But she's also one of these, defund the police people. So potentially it could be a situation where karma being karma, you kind of asked for it, you got it, and well, it kind of smacked you upside the head, quite literally, and you kind of did it to yourself. So, what can we draw from this? Leftists being leftists, kind of their own worst enemies, and they're kind of made victims by those guys who are opportunistic little bad guys because, well, that's what bad guys do. They really, truly don't respect the law. Why? Oh, yeah. It's because they're bad guys. All right, folks, you got a gold star for attendance. You only got many other things to do on a Tuesdays. You got sung out with me, and I truly appreciate your kind attendance. I'm going to bring on this one. Eat good, keep it tender, as always, you love it. I will catch you guys next week unless I put out something else. Also, you never know. I might have a wallet here at my butt. I might put something else out there. So I'm going to bring on this one, folks, and have a good week. I'll see you guys next time and good stuff like that there. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. See you guys later.